All right, if you're a man over 40, I guarantee you've heard about intermittent fasting. But let's be honest, with all the noise out there, it's pretty tough to figure out what's real and what's just, well, hype. Today, we're going to cut right through all of that. We're talking hard science.
So does this sound familiar? You're doing the work, but that number on the scale just won't budge. And maybe your doctor's starting to bring up your cholesterol numbers. You know, it's a really common story for guys our age. A lot of us are looking at intermittent fasting, but the big question is, does it actually work for men over 40? In this explainer, we are getting you some solid, clear answers from a major 6-month clinical trial. This isn't some blog post theory. This is the real deal. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at exactly what the people in this study did. Then, we'll dive into the results, the changes to body weight and body fat. We'll also cover the really good news about cholesterol and, just as important, what didn't change. And finally, we'll get into the cool part, the science of why it all works. Let's jump in. Okay, first things first, the experiment itself. Because look, to really trust the results, you've got to understand who was in the study and exactly what they were asked to do. The setup was actually pretty simple, and it was designed for the real world, which is what I like to see. The study looked at middle-aged men and women who were carrying some extra weight. For a full 6 months, they followed a plan kind of like the 5-2 diet you might have heard of. That just means they ate their normal diet 5 days a week, and then they fasted on 2 days that weren't back-to-back. And on those fasting days, they kept things under 500 calories, eating only non-starchy veggies. The key here? No complicated meal plans or obsessive calorie counting on the other 5 days. So, 6 months go by. What happened? Let's get to the good stuff. These are the results you can actually see in the mirror. On average, the people in the study saw an 8% drop in their total body weight. Now, 8% might not sound like a huge number, but let's put that in perspective. For a 200-pound man, that's a solid 16 pounds gone. If you're 220, that's over 17 pounds. This is significant weight loss, and it happened without having to completely overhaul their diet every single day.
And this is even better. They saw a 16% drop in body fat. Honestly, this is the number that really matters for your health. See, it's not just about losing weight. It's about losing the right kind of weight. This shows that most of what came off was fat, not just water or precious muscle.
They also lost, on average, almost 8 centimeters from their waistlines. We're talking over 3 inches. Now, why is this such a big deal for men over 40? Simple. A smaller waist means less visceral fat. That's that dangerous belly fat that wraps around your internal organs and is linked to pretty much everything we want to avoid, from heart disease to other performance issues.
Now, check out this comparison. It really tells the story. The group doing the fasting lost an average of 15.5 pounds. But the control group, the folks who didn't change a thing, they actually gained about 2.4 pounds over the same 6 months. The difference couldn't be clearer. The fasting protocol was absolutely the reason for the weight loss.
Okay, so the changes on the outside were impressive, but what about what's going on inside your body? Let's take a look at what happened to their cholesterol, because this is where it gets really interesting for your long-term health.
Before we jump into the numbers, let's clear something up real quick. Non-HDL cholesterol. You've definitely heard of LDL, right? The so-called bad cholesterol? Well, just think of non-HDL as the grand total of all the bad guys combined. It's a really comprehensive number your doctor looks at to get a clear picture of your heart disease risk.
And boom, here's the result. An 11% drop in that bad cholesterol number. That is a big deal. I mean, this is the kind of change that can seriously lower your risk of heart disease down the road.
And then there's this, a nearly 24% drop in triglycerides. Just incredible. Triglycerides are another type of fat floating around in your blood, and when they're high, your heart disease risk goes up. A drop this big is a massive win for your metabolic health. So this fasting plan wasn't just about weight loss, it had a really powerful positive impact on their entire cholesterol profile.
Okay, this part is really important. Look, a good scientific breakdown isn't just about celebrating the wins. It's about being honest and looking at the entire picture. So, let's talk about the key health markers where this 6-month study did not show a big change.
So even with those great results for weight and cholesterol, the researchers didn't find any significant changes in fasting blood sugar, insulin levels, or blood pressure. They also didn't see a drop in a key inflammation marker or in the thickness of the carotid artery, which is basically a way to measure plaque buildup. So what does this tell us? It tells us that while this type of fasting is a fantastic tool for losing weight and fixing your cholesterol, it's not a magic bullet. It's not a cure-all. It also really suggests that what you eat on those other 5 days is still incredibly important for your total health.
So the big question is why? Why did fasting work so well, especially for cholesterol? The researchers actually dug down to the molecular level to find out, and what they found is pretty fascinating.
So get this. It turns out not everybody responded in the exact same way. The study found that a person's individual biology, specifically how active a certain gene was before they even started, was a really strong predictor of how much their cholesterol would improve.
And that gene is called PPAR alpha. The easiest way to think about it is like a master switch for burning fat. When you're fasting and your body needs energy, PPAR alpha cranks up its activity. It tells your cells, hey, time to start using fat for fuel. It's a critical part of how your body adapts when there's no food coming in.
This quote from the actual study says it all loud and clear. The people who started the study with naturally higher levels of this PPAR alpha gene, they're the ones who saw the biggest drops in their bad cholesterol. It's a powerful reminder that our own genetics can play a huge role in how we respond to diet changes like intermittent fasting. All right, let's do a quick recap of the main points. Over 6 months, this specific fasting plan led to major weight loss and fat loss. It did a fantastic job lowering bad cholesterol and triglycerides. But it's not a cure-all. It didn't really move the needle on blood pressure, blood sugar, or inflammation in this particular study. And finally, your own biology, your genetics, might just influence how well it works for you, especially when it comes to cholesterol. So, what's the bottom line here? It's that this type of intermittent fasting can be a really powerful tool, especially for weight loss and for improving your cholesterol. But it's not a free pass. The real key to total health, especially after 40, seems to be that 1-2 punch: a smart fasting schedule combined with a high-quality diet on your non-fasting days. Now, if you want some help dialing in that nutrition piece, I've put together a free guide for you. It's called the Science-Backed Health Checklist for Men 40+. You can download it right now. The link is in the description below. If you found this breakdown helpful, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more science-backed health info for men over 40. Thanks for watching.